All right. Press is all ready. Make sure. All right, well, welcome. I want to thank all of the governors that are here today. This is an important place to hold a press conference. Back in 2010, as a member of Congress, I represented this area. St. Bernard Parish, like many parishes in Louisiana, are home to energy refineries and men and women who ply an energy trade. And I continue to say it again and again. American energy has done more than any other industry to lift more people out of poverty globally than any other industry that I've known of. Today, I'm joined by a Republican governor's policy chair, another governor who knows a lot about energy, the governor from Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt. We have the governor from Alaska, Mike Dunleavy, the governor from Georgia, Brian Kemp, the governor from New Hampshire, Chris Sununu, the governor from North Dakota, Doug Burgum, the governor from Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, and we're also joined by the refinery manager here, Jared Wimbley, who is a Church Point native, and we just learned is one of the first Louisianans in over 40 years to actually run this facility. And let me say this. This is the message that we have. There is no one who knows more about the needs of Americans than governors. Every day they're in their state. Every day they're talking to regular people. They don't live inside of a beltway, inside of an area that really is out of touch with America. And what we hear from our constituents is that inflation is eating into the pockets of Americans. And one of the greatest drivers of that inflation is energy. And the reason that inflation is out of control is because of the federal government. If the federal government took its foot off of the neck of American energy, we could absolutely lower the cost of everyday goods to American citizens. From day one, President Biden has done nothing but attack American energy. He paused new oil and gas leases. He canceled the Keystone Pipeline. He prioritized foreign energy over domestic energy, which means he prioritized over domestic jobs. The Department of Energy and the EPA are releasing rules and regulations at a neck-breaking speed. And every day, those regulations add unrealistic regulations to places just like this refinery. And each one of those regulations costs Americans jobs, and it costs them at their pocketbook. Put plainly, the Biden administration continues to prioritize government regulations over free market solutions. So today we're here to talk about common sense, realistic solutions that Republican governors are proposing to unleash American energy and reduce the cost to Americans. And so I would like to turn it over to our policy chair, Governor Kevin Stitt, who will discuss the details of these policy plans. Governor?
Thank you. Thanks so much, Governor Landry, and thank you guys all so much for being here today in the great state of Louisiana. I'm Governor Kevin Stitt from Oklahoma, and I serve as the policy chair for the Republican Public Policy Committee. We serve as the central hub for policy sharing among all the Republican governors. And as you've heard from Governor Landry, when it comes to energy policy, we're seeing the effects of President Biden's war on energy every single day in all of our states. Under the Biden administration, Americans are now paying 40% more every time they fill up their gas tanks. Republican governors believe one of the best ways to help Americans with all these rising costs is to support an all-of-the-above approach to American energy production. Let's stop picking winners and losers in this industry, and let's let the free market and innovation flow. Oklahoma has some of the most affordable, reliable energy in the entire country. And that's thanks to Oklahoma's all-of-the-above approach. Oklahoma is the sixth largest producer of crude oil. We're the sixth largest producer of natural gas. We're also the third largest producer of wind-generated electricity. So because of all that, Oklahoma is number 2 lowest price in electricity to commercial consumers. We're the number 1 lowest priced electricity to industrial consumers. And natural gas and our wind generation, we've reduced our electricity generation carbon intensity by 61% over just the last 2 decades. You know, energy is an economic driver in not only states like Oklahoma, but all across our country. And it's led to being one of the most pro-business states in the country. And I know we want to be top 10 in Oklahoma, like all of my colleagues behind me. And all of us as Republican governors, we're working to make our states the most pro-business states in the country. And if you look at net migration and where businesses are flowing, they're flowing to states like Virginia and Tennessee and Texas and Georgia and Louisiana. You know, the Biden administration also needs to stop its regulatory war on American energy. According to recent reports, administration rules and regulations in the energy space are part of a larger unchecked rulemaking effort that has cost American taxpayers, listen to this, $1.37 trillion. You know, we sent, as Republican governors, we just sent a letter to President Biden today, actually, calling for an end of this regulatory war on American energy. You know, states need to be active participants in all of these rulemaking processes. The letter includes a comprehensive list of immediate steps that could be taken to unleash American independence, American energy independence, and provide real relief for American families. Because that's really what it's all about. That's what all of us states are focused on. So these include ending regulatory overreach that is restricting domestic energy production and it's driving up costs, increasing the number and quality of onshore and offshore lease sales of all forms of energy production, expediting the approval of federal drilling permits, lifting the pause on approvals of LNG exports, which really all that did was just hurt our allies, repealing the unnecessary financial regulations that are driving away capital from American companies, expanding critical mineral mining and processing to counter China, prioritizing innovation over regulation by supporting technology that produces reliable, affordable, American-made energy. Here's the thing. This is really not rocket science. These are common sense solutions that will unleash American energy. It's going to lower the cost for hardworking families, and it's going to increase supply chain security for Americans. With that, thanks again for being here, and I'll open it up. Any questions for all of our governors? We're producing more oil than any country ever in the history of the world. It doesn't seem like these regulatory changes have had that much impact. In response to that, I don't know if you haven't heard anything about climate change, which is obviously tied in. Well, you have. You heard Oklahoma has reduced our carbon emissions by 61% over the last 2 decades. And I'll let Governor Burgum, you want to take that?
First of all, thank you, Governor Stitt, Governor Landry, for being here. But specifically on this this question, part of this regulatory regime that's attacking and hurting every single American, I want to say it's 20 Republicans that signed this letter, and I'm proud to stand there with these Republicans. But when you're a governor, you're working for everybody. And when we've got high gas prices, when we've got high electricity prices, that affects Republicans, independents, and Democrats. It affects everybody. Inflation and the cost of energy drives up the cost of food. And right now, we've got so many Americans that are struggling to put, gas in their tank and food on the table. So this is not a group of Republican governors that are fighting for the energy industry. They're fighting for every American who's having to pay more than they should. And they're having to pay more than they should because the sum of all of this hot attack coming from every regulatory in the federal is meant under this
what I would have to call a big lie that says that if we do all this, it's going to be good for the environment. But when you shut down U.S. energy, and every state is doing and every company's doing what Governor Stitt talked about, we're doing it more efficiently, cleaner, safer, better, smarter, and with less emissions than any other country. When you try to shut down that industry where innovation is thriving, you're shoving the result of that, the demand, onto places like Russia and Iran and Venezuela, people that don't even have an EPA and forget the environment. They're the ones that are also funding the wars that are fighting against us. We're in proxy wars against Russia and Iran, and they're funding those wars against us with their oil sales. So the whole thing, it doesn't help the environment. It hurts consumers. It hurts our allies. And it's, like I said, and not good for the environment, not good for the environment at all. And your lead point, which is this talking point that people get saying, oh, we've produced more than we ever before. Yes, we're producing about 13 million barrels of oil a day. We should be doing 15, 16, 18, 20 million barrels of oil a day. That would be not just energy independence. That would be energy dominance. We'd be selling that to our allies instead of our allies having to buy from our enemies, which is what happened, and said, we've had policies passed in administrations that supported Americans and American first. These policies literally feel like they've been designed by Russia, China, Ukraine. And I don't mean that politically, I mean that literally, because if you're trying to shut down liquid fuels in America on behalf of EVs, and 85% of the rare earth minerals come from China, then if you're on Team EV, you're on Team China. And if you're against the liquid fuel and internal combustion machines, you're not just hurting the energy industry, you're hurting all of agriculture, because agriculture is the pathway to sustainable aviation fuels. It's 15% of every tank, every gallon is right now in America is most likely ethanol. And if you shut down liquid fuels in America, you're going to hurt every farmer in America right now, whether they're producing soybeans, corn, whatever. So these policies that are hurting the energy industry are hurting the agriculture industry. And the last thing I'd say is we're talking liquid fuels, but on base load, the Biden administration is trying to shut down all the electricity at a time when demand is going up. So if you want more blackouts and more brownouts, then keep going with these regulatory regime. If you want to have low-priced, reliable electricity to fund the future of America, including us being competitive in AI, then you've got to get along with the policies that Kevin and Jeff and everybody else up here supports and then outlined in our letter. Thank you.
Address the same question? Yeah, look, I think the one delta that y'all keep missing in this equation is, why is it that refineries overseas have a lower operating cost? Why is it that they can expand those refineries? Why can they build new refineries in countries that hate us much easier than we can build them here domestically, which when we build them here domestically, we hire Americans here, we put Americans to work. Why don't you, that's a question. And the reason we can't is because the regulatory burden of building and expanding these refineries has been layered on top of these corporations like cement bricks that are holding them down. And so we never ask the question is why? Why are we drilling? Why are we producing 13 million barrels of crude in this country a day? And why are we exporting that West Texas Intermediate? Why are we the Louisiana sweet crude? Why are we on all the shale plays? Why are we moving that crude overseas? And the answer is because these people each and every day, they wake up, the first question is, what do we have to do to make sure that we check all the regulatory boxes before we can produce the gasoline that you need at a cost that you can afford? And that's what I would say. Any other questions? Oh, the legislative session. Yeah. I think it was a great success. Look, I can tell you, last year, with the help of many of these governors and talking to many of them, we prioritized the things that these governors have been doing that have made their states competitive and made their states a place where people want to come to. And so we promised the people of Louisiana that we were going to address public safety. I see the sheriff here at St. Bernard Parish. He can tell you we did exactly that. We said that we were going to prioritize educational reform and that the money was going to follow the child. And we did that as well. And we thank the legislature for it. We said that we're going to improve our public school environment. And we put together public school teachers and I let the teachers teach. And we started to unleash those those programs and the responses that we got from those teachers, and we put some of those into legislative actions. And so I would tell you that I'm extremely excited that we have done more than I think any other governor has done in a long time, in a very short period of time, and mostly because we got great friends from around the country that have been doing it for a long time, and you see the results. How about, Mike, you want to say, yeah, the governor from Alaska, who they sent some crew down here, right?
Thanks, Governor. And it's an honor to be here today. There was a question about what about the environment? I think it was one of the first questions. When you think about it, it's Republican states that are leading in protecting the environment. Texas, solar and wind, North Dakota, wind, South Dakota, wind, Iowa, 60% of the electricity is wind. They're all our states. They're all red states. What we're trying to do is the Republican Party is really the party about people. The other party is about causes. And what you're seeing happening here is social engineering on the people of Alaska, the people of the United States. One of my staff will hand out to anyone that's interested, but in Alaska, this is put together by Senator Dan Sullivan. We have 63 executive orders against this by our own federal government. 63 sanctions by our own federal government, whether it's oil, whether it's mining, whether it's timber, that's 63. I think Iran has 9. And so what we're talking about here is not weakening America, but making it strong and really developing an energy policy for the single mom with 3 kids. If we can't make it work for the single mom with 3 kids, we're not going to make it work for most of Alaska, or most of America, to be honest with you. And the bottom line is this: we're not about sanctioning our own people. We're not about causing them to pay more at the pump. We're not about despoiling the environment. If you don't do it in America and you do it overseas, there's no EPA overseas. There's no Army Corps overseas. So when we lose jobs, we lose opportunity here in America, as well as in Alaska, that goes overseas, you're just propping up dictators, child labor. You're having certain countries take advantage of minorities in their country, and the environment is getting wrecked. The environment is getting wrecked overseas. And so for those that really believe in the environment and really believe in what they're talking about, you want to do it here where it's under the watchful eyes of us and some of the agencies. And so we're on the right side, I think, of history, and that's what's going to be demonstrated here, I think, in the next couple of years. But right now, we got to stop this war against the Americans, a war against American energy. If you believe in the Green New Deal, you need to do mining here in America, not overseas, here in America. And so we have the solutions to the problems that this country faces and this world faces.
Go ahead. Yeah, look, I think that we have one more month left on the rotation of 50 troops a month that we had budgeted to send to Texas. I spoke to Governor Abbott several weeks ago. We'd like to talk to them again some more about maybe sending some more troops down there. He could use them. I know that the season under which the biggest migratory surge that they see actually happens around this time. What we have seen is that the presence, and I know that many of the governors here have sent National Guard troops to the border as well. But what we've seen is that when you place those guardsmen on the border, we have absolutely seen a reduction in the number of illegal entries into the state of Texas. And so we thank the legislature went down there and you know, we finish our rotation this month. You want to go ahead and, yeah. Well, I think, you know what's amazing is I've never seen in any of the foreign policy press conferences where, say, Chairman Xi or even some of even the European leaders, where we ask them, let's get a scorecard and see what is the carbon footprint of American industries versus some of those other industries. What are they doing in China to improve their environmental footprint? What are they doing? Are they getting a carbon score? No, they are putting more coal plants online than we are. In fact, I used to know it, but like they were building 6 to every 3 or every 1 that we were decommissioning. Actually, Europeans, how it's worked out for them, as they decarbonized without being able to put an energy portfolio in place that's reliable. And so I think the problem is that we look at America and we don't get any credit, but there is no country in the world that has reduced its carbon footprint greater than the United States anywhere in the last 30 years. We have done more. We have become more efficient. You know why? Because the technology's here. And when you unleash the same things that Governor Stitt was talking about, when you unleash same thing that Mike was talking about, when you unleash American ingenuity, when you take the government's foot off the throat of the great people of this country, you see some unbelievable industries take hold. And so I would tell you, if you want to do anything with climate change, you should go stop China from the amount of coal-fired plants that they're producing over there, the amount of all the other things that they're doing, see what they're doing in their refineries, ask some of these refiners the types of regulations that they're under, and go find out what they have in China.
Yeah, one comment
sure.
here, if I could. Hi. I just want to comment on this moment where it's constantly presented to the American people that this is an or moment, that you actually can't reduce a carbon footprint and embrace an all of the above, all American energy plan. And the short answer is we, in fact, must embrace an all American, all of the above energy plan, because we've got three big challenges. Challenge number one is if we want to have a strong economy, we have to have an energy industry that can fuel it. Or we're going to have a stagnant economy. In Virginia, we're growing our power demand at 5% a year because guess what? The economy is growing. And we have to supply it with increasingly clean, yes, but affordable and reliable power. Second of all, if we in fact abandon American-made energy, we in fact are driving this country right into the stranglehold of China. The Chinese Communist Party controls the green pipeline, and we in fact have to compete, and therefore we have to develop our own trusted pipeline, and that is in fact to develop a mining industry that supplies critical minerals. It is a supply chain for trusted batteries, and it is to recognize that if the Biden administration continues this drive to repress our domestic industry and strengthen our demand for Chinese industry, we are causing a further national security crisis than the one we're already in. And then finally, as my colleagues have expressed multiple times, the challenge is that America does not need to spend 30 and 40 and 50% premiums when we in fact can adopt an all of the above, all American energy plan and provide everything we need: reliable, affordable, and increasingly clean power. Because I will tell you, just as you've heard from every one of the other governors, every ounce of refined product that comes out of this refinery is cleaner than it comes out of any refinery in the world. America can do this. We, in fact, have the innovation at our fingertips. We have the capability. And it is now a responsibility of the Biden administration to stop and allow America to win and not drive us into the stranglehold of the Chinese Communist Party. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. Okay. All done.